Welcome back to the Dawg Mentality, winning in business, sports, and life. I'm your host, Jeffrey Wendel. We are in part 3 of our series, diving deep into the principles of peak performance on the field, using sports as our ultimate learning laboratory. Today, we are tackling a concept that goes against almost everything our modern culture teaches us about success. We live in an era of the personal brand, the era of the superstar, the era of look at me. But if you study the absolute highest levels of achievement, the dynasties, the repeat champions, the organizations that dominate for decades, you find a completely different philosophy. You find a paradox. The paradox is this: the greatest individual success comes when you stop focusing on yourself. Today's episode is called It's Never About You, the Power of a Team-First Mindset. We are going to explore the core philosophy of caring more about each other's success than your own. And I'm going to show you, using hard science and the greatest sports dynasties in history, why selflessness and collective ambition are not just nice moral concepts. They are the ultimate competitive advantages. Let's start with the science. For a long time, we believed that the best way to motivate people was to appeal to their self-interest. Pay them more. Give them individual bonuses, put their name in lights. But Dr. Adam Grant, an organizational psychologist at Wharton, has spent years studying what he calls pro-social motivation. That's the academic term for the desire to benefit others through your work. Grant's research reveals something fascinating. When you combine intrinsic motivation, loving what you do, with pro-social motivation, doing it to help others, you get a massive spike in persistence, performance, and productivity. In fact, research published in the Journal of Business Research looked at reward systems. They found that group-based reward systems consistently outperform individual-based systems. They produce more cooperative behavior, and here's the kicker: they generate the best performing groups and the best performing individuals. When you make it about the team, the individuals actually perform better. Let's look at how this plays out on the biggest stages in the world. If you want to see the team-first mindset in its purest, most devastating form, you have to look at the 2014 San Antonio Spurs. For years, the Spurs, led by coach Gregg Popovich, were called boring. They played a slow, defensive, post-heavy game. But by 2014, they had evolved into something entirely different. They faced the Miami Heat in the NBA Finals, a Heat team built around the ultimate individual superstars. The Spurs destroyed them in 5 games. But it wasn't just that they won, it was how they won. According to Basketball Reference, the Spurs scored 120.8 points per 100 possessions in those finals. That was the highest offensive rating in finals history. And they did it without a single player averaging more than 18 points per game. It was the most balanced attack the NBA Finals had ever seen. They averaged 157 more passes per game than the Miami Heat. The ball never stopped moving. It was a dizzying, selfless display of basketball that became known simply as the beautiful game. How do you build that kind of selflessness? How do you get professional athletes who have massive egos and contract incentives tied to individual stats to pass up a good shot for a great shot? Daniel Coyle explored this in his book, The Culture Code. He found that Gregg Popovich is a master at building relationships. Popovich's philosophy is hug 'em and hold 'em. The Spurs eat together constantly. Popovich uses meals and wine to build deep personal connections. He shows them documentaries about the civil rights movement to connect them to something bigger than basketball. Coyle highlights a study by psychologists from Stanford, Yale, and Columbia. They found a specific type of feedback that boosted performance immensely. It's just 19 words. I'm giving you these comments because I have very high expectations and I know that you can reach them. That phrase delivers 3 cultural signals. You are part of this group. This group is special. I believe you can reach our standards. The Spurs didn't just pass the ball well. They passed the ball well because they cared about each other. As Coyle wrote, the Spurs succeed because they are skilled at a far more important sport, building strong relationships. Let's cross the globe to New Zealand. The New Zealand All Blacks rugby team is statistically the most successful sports franchise in human history. Over more than a century, they have a winning percentage of over 77%. Author James Kerr spent time embedded with the All Blacks and wrote a brilliant book called Legacy. He discovered that their entire culture is built on a values-based, purpose-driven approach to excellence. And the foundational value is humility. They have a mantra: no individual is bigger than the team. They enforce this through a practice called sweeping the sheds. After a grueling test match in front of 80,000 screaming fans, while the world is watching, the biggest stars on the team, the veterans, the legends, pick up brooms and sweep the locker room clean. They don't leave it for the stadium staff. They don't leave it for the rookies. The leaders sweep the sheds. It is a physical manifestation of the team-first mindset. It says, I am not too big to do the small things for this team. They also have a strict no dickheads policy. It doesn't matter how talented you are, if your character doesn't fit the culture, if you put yourself above the team, you are gone. They believe that the jersey is not yours. You are just a custodian of it. Your job is to leave the jersey in a better place than you found it. Think about your own organization. Think about your own team. Do your top performers sweep the sheds? Or do they expect others to clean up after them? Do you tolerate toxic behavior because someone hits their sales quota? If you want to build a dynasty, character has to trump talent. Selflessness has to trump ego. We've talked about basketball and rugby. Let's talk about baseball. In baseball, we talk a lot about team chemistry. For a long time, the analytics community dismissed chemistry as unquantifiable noise. But recent large-scale studies of Major League Baseball teams have proven that team chemistry is very real, and it directly impacts winning. But what is chemistry really? Psychologists call it collective efficacy. The legendary psychologist Albert Bandura defined collective efficacy as a group's shared belief in its combined capabilities to organize and execute the actions required to produce results. Notice the key word there: shared belief. Bandura's research and subsequent meta-analyses prove something incredible. Collective efficacy is a stronger predictor of team performance than the individual self-efficacy of the team members. Let me repeat that. A team's shared belief in us is more powerful than the individual player's belief in me. When a team has high collective efficacy, they expend more effort. They have higher motivation. They create a better interpersonal environment. You saw this with Derek Jeter in the New York Yankees dynasty. Jeter was named the captain of the Yankees in 2003, the first since Don Mattingly. He didn't ask for the title. He earned it through consistency, reliability, and an unshakable focus on the team's success. He wasn't the loudest guy in the room. He led by example. He embodied the collective efficacy of the Yankees. You saw it with Phil Jackson. He won 11 NBA championships as a coach. How? By implementing the triangle offense. The triangle is a system designed so that every player reads the defense and makes decisions. No one player dominates the ball. Jackson took Michael Jordan, the greatest individual scorer in history, and convinced him to play within a selfless team system. The result? 6 championships. He took Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal, 2 massive egos, and got them to coexist within the system. The result? 3 championships. Jackson's philosophy was simple. The strength of the team is each individual member. The strength of each individual member is the team. So, how do we apply this? How do we build a team-first mindset in a world that constantly rewards the individual? It starts with you. It starts with the leader. Here is your dog mentality challenge for this week. I want you to do a selflessness audit on your team or your organization. Ask yourself 3 questions. Number 1, how do we reward success? Are you only rewarding individual metrics, or do you have group-based rewards that incentivize cooperation? Remember the research, group rewards produce better individuals. Number 2, who is sweeping the sheds? Look at your top performers. Are they doing the unglamorous work? Are they mentoring the junior team members? If not, you need to reset the culture. You need to model it yourself. Pick up the broom. Number 3, are we delivering magical feedback? Are you communicating those 3 vital signals? You are part of this group. This group is special. I believe you can reach our standards. It is never about you. The moment you realize that your ultimate success is entirely dependent on the success of the people around you, everything changes. When you care more about your teammates' success than your own, you become unstoppable. You build collective efficacy. You play the beautiful game. Next time on the Dawg Mentality, we're going to look at the mental side of the game. We'll explore how mental performance coaching can give you the edge when the pressure is at its absolute highest. Until then, remember, discipline, attitude, will, gratitude, sweep the sheds, put the team first, and go win the day. I'm Jeffrey Wendel. I'll see you next time.